The first thing that I want to react to Ben Shapiro. It's been a while since I reacted to a Ben Shapiro video, so I thought I'd give it a go. This is why left-wing governance always fails. I just want to laugh at it a bit. I'm probably not going to be making many coherent points throughout this. I'm just going to laugh at it. I hope you guys are excited for that.
So unions are artificially driving up the price of goods and services in the United States, particularly dock workers unions. So the White House recently just handed over basically all negotiations to the dock workers union. And the dock workers unions, which already have made our ports some of the least efficient in the developed world, they are now trying to fight back against automation. So that way the docks can't work 24 hours a day. They don't work nearly as efficiently, which means you get to pay more because somebody has to pay for that. And that person is you. Congratulations.
Ooh, off to a good start. We're 32 seconds in and I'm already kind of annoyed. Unions don't drive up inflation. The only one in control of inflation is the government. They are in direct control of inflation. If they wanted to, they could pass various different policies, laws, whatever, on just putting caps on how expensive things can be. They're never going to do that, though, because then they lose out money because they're not getting as much money from the taxes that you pay on certain goods. But yeah, inflation has nothing to do with unions, despite what most people might think by just kind of looking at the first Google search result.
Kamala can pay off her union buddies. According to the Wall Street Journal, at the annual convention of the International Longshoremen's Association last year, 2 large screens played a TikTok video from a crane operator over the docks of Los Angeles. All of this, man, is all automated, he said, pointing toward acres of stacked containers stretching to the Pacific. He marveled at the automated vehicles driving amid the containers. No drivers in any of those machines. They're no joke, man. From the podium, Harold Daggett, the union's pugnacious leader, was having none of it. They say that's the future, he bellowed to the thousands of gathered workers. Over my dead body. Well, I mean, so we're now pushing against, exactly the factors that would make life more affordable for Americans.
What I'm hearing is that people are out of jobs because the whole system is being automated. So they have less jobs to actually give to people.
To do. And we know precisely what this governance looks like. It don't look particularly good. And here's the beautiful thing about left-wing governance in America. It gets tried and tried and tried again. And it fails and it fails and it fails again. And they try it again, then it fails again. Basically, it's Portland. The most hilarious story of the day comes courtesy of Politico. It's titled, "This Proud Liberal City is Throwing Out Its Entire Government." Why, what happened? I thought they were doing great. Portland was a wonderful, joyous place. It was a weird city and everything. Well, it turns out everyone hates living there, and they're all leaving. Because bad governance means a bad place to live. Quote, few...
Well, yes, but I don't think you can directly say that left-wing governance equals bad governance. I mean, look at 90% of what Trump did when he was in office. I wouldn't quite say he's left-wing, especially not liberal. They're two different things, by the way. I'm not sure if Ben Shapiro's figured that one out yet.
American cities faced as much chaos as Portland over the last 4 years. This proudly liberal city has endured more than 100 days of often violent protests, a fentanyl and homelessness crisis, a pandemic, and decriminalization of all drugs. This November, Portland is undertaking one more chaotic act. In a sign of either hope or desperation, Rose City voters decided to throw out their entire government structure and replace it with a weaker mayor, expanding city council, and ranked choice voting. A major driving factor was the passage of Measure 110 decriminalizing all drugs in 2020. That was backed by 3/4 of Multnomah County's residents.
So, in March that year, illicit drugs like heroin, according to this, were recriminalized. So they're a crime again to possess or to use or whatever, to sell. Punishable by a ticket and a maximum $100 fine, which sounds perfectly normal to me. Sounds alright. So yeah, that didn't last very long. Anyway.
Voters couldn't, or at least didn't, anticipate how this policy change would reshape a city already strapped for money, dealing with a public health crisis, and confronting rising rates of homelessness and fentanyl abuse. Drug use shot up, homelessness worsened, and taxpayers fled. Well, probably, perfect left-wing governance has never been tried. We just need to try more of it. That's the issue. There are now 19 people running.
I would actually agree with that. I think he was saying that sarcastically, but he's absolutely right. In terms of America, if we look at the likes of Bernie Sanders compared to Kamala Harris or Obama, you can definitely see a big difference in terms of policies and how left-wing the left can get, because Kamala Harris really is not left-wing. She's anti-immigration. She's anti-Palestine. She won't even say the word Palestine. She'll just say Gaza. She's trying to appear as anti-war, I think, but it's not really working because she's not being anti-war at all. She's trying to say that America has the deadliest military in the world, I think is what she said. Certainly the idea behind that is not great. I think you really should be designing your military to defend your country, not be deadly, which implies that you're going to other countries and killing, which is kind of what they do. So she's not wrong there. She's very right-wing in certain aspects of her policy. I mean, she's pro-abortion, which is good. That's obviously something that's left-wing. But she's definitely, as far as I can tell, she has kind of an equal amount of right-wing opinions as left-wing opinions. I would say Kamala Harris is centrist, and what's his face? Oh yeah, Tim Walz. Before he was involved as the potential vice president, he definitely seemed a lot more left-wing. Before, he was very passionate about certain things. I mean, abortion, IVF. He was very passionate about those things. But since he has started running with Kamala Harris, he's become a bit tamer, I think, in terms of especially Palestine. That's one kind of huge thing that I've noticed. He's very reluctant to be to say anything that goes against Israel. You would imagine he'd be a lot more pro-Palestine, but apparently not. And I would imagine it's because he's running for VP.
For mayor, and 98 people seeking seats on the city council. They are all campaigning on left-of-center platforms, but progressives often put blame for the policy failures on unexpected circumstances like the fentanyl crisis and on problems with implementation. Moderate candidates are bemoaning the city's far-left shift and pushing for bigger policy corrections. Well done, everyone. Well done. But this is what left-wing governance looks like, and you get precisely what you deserve. I don't think the American people are up for this. I think they know that Kamala Harris sympathizes more with the governance of Portland and San Francisco than she does with the governance of, say, states like Florida. That is pretty obvious. But I don't think the American people agree with her agenda. And they don't like her very much personally either. Kamala Harris's latest favorability ratings, she's 3 points underwater with The Economist YouGov. She's 4 points underwater with Yahoo News. Now, these are not amazing numbers. They just aren't.
I think I have to be honest. I think it's because, when she originally started out, it was a fresh kind of perspective. We hadn't really seen a candidate running with the same kind of mindset that she had. But now, as time has gone on, it's kind of seeming more and more like she's just doing what Joe Biden was already doing. And he wasn't super popular anyway. And now she's gotten really, really kind of pro-Israel. It would certainly put off a lot of left-leaning voters. The other thing as well is she's suddenly out of nowhere started coming in with this anti-immigration stuff, which before it was just right-wing that were doing it. And then Biden out of nowhere at one point said illegals and everyone freaked out. And now Kamala Harris is going on about how the border needs to be tightened. She's talking about a border bill that she wants to pass, which, why? I think the problem is not that there are people coming in from Mexico. I think there are definitely different problems. I don't think that making the border tighter or deporting a load of people is the solution to a problem, because I don't think it's a problem to begin with.
Now, these are not amazing numbers. They just aren't. She doesn't have high. People don't love her in any real sense. Meanwhile, Donald Trump running kind of similar numbers. He's in the same ballpark. It's like -6, -8. Both of them are riding at 47, 48% in the favorability ratings. In other words, she ain't nothing to write home about. And the American people are showing it in the polling data. She's got a real problem on her hands. First, October 7th,
So is...
the 1-year anniversary.
Okay. Oh, I can sense something coming up here. What I was gonna say is, what exactly is his point in there? When Jesus, what I was gonna say is, what exactly is his point when he's talking about Kamala Harris's favorability numbers when Donald Trump's are exactly the same? You know, it doesn't really mean much when you say it like that. In fairness, Donald Trump is getting a lot worse in terms of how well he's running the show, I suppose you could say. Just with his rallies, especially, and his debates, the doubling down on the whole immigrants are eating your pets thing, that was a bit strange. It was a bit weird. That's the kind of thing that brings your numbers down. He doubled down on the idea that immigrants in prison are having sex change surgeries, which is just a ridiculous thing to say. It sounds ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It doesn't get more ridiculous than that, I don't think. But he doubled down on it. He said it recently in a debate. I don't know if I can find the clip. I'll put it up on the screen there.
She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison.
You know, it kind of makes sense why his numbers are going down. Kamala Harris needs to be more left-wing, I think, if she wants the left to vote for her. Because right now, thank God, I don't live in America. I don't have to vote for one of those two buffoons. But I currently wouldn't vote for either of them because of how extraordinarily right-wing Harris is on Israel and Palestine and immigration, because both issues she's approaching definitely not with a leftist point of view.
Of the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust.
Okay, let's go back. Hang on.
In the polling data, she's got a real problem on her hands. First, October 7th marked the 1-year anniversary of the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. 1,200 Israelis were murdered. Over 250 were taken hostage. The war in Israel continues to rage on today. Earlier this month, of course, Iran launched a massive barrage of nearly 200 ballistic missiles at the Holy Land. This isn't just another conflict in the Middle East. Israel and its people are facing attacks from enemies on all sides who want to wipe it out. But there is hope. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground.
Oh, fuck off. Shut up. Let's pretend he didn't mention anything about Palestine, because if I have to go into that right now, we'll never make it to the end of this video. I think it's a ridiculous idea to claim that Israel is the victim. I'm going to leave it at that.
Their strategy to tamp down conflict in the Middle East is very unlikely to be successful here. The United States seems to have a strategy of leaking all of Israel's wartime strategies in an attempt to get Israel to stop fighting its war. It's not going to happen. Instead of just saying to Israel's enemies, hey guys, you better come to the table or Israel's going to wreck you, and we're going to help them wreck you by just giving them what they need. Instead of doing that, which is the actual Trump-Vance position, J.D. Vance expressed it at the VP debate, Trump agrees with it. They are both on the same page. Instead of that, you have Kamala Harris and Joe Biden whinging about exactly what Israel is doing. Oh no, it's just so sad. Why won't Israel listen to us? Maybe they won't listen to you because you keep trying to yank their chain. Maybe it's that. The Wall Street Journal has a front page piece today titled, U.S. Frustrated by Israel's Reluctance to Share Iran Retaliation Plans.
I have to say, I kind of agree with him. What exactly does America have to do in order to create a ceasefire? The answer is stop sending money to Israel. That's it. That's it. As soon as Israel runs out of money, then what? They can't keep sending bombs to other countries to blow up those other countries. They can't keep sending soldiers into countries to kill the civilians, which is what they're currently doing. America, right now, is their biggest benefactor, I suppose is the right word. If they cut off the supply of money and weapons to Israel, suddenly you have this huge amount of money just disappeared. When Israel doesn't have that money, they can't exactly afford to keep waging war with other countries. So what is the solution? Stop sending money, stop sending weapons. That's it. That's all they have to do. But for some reason, at the moment, it's just we're doing what we can to try and arrange a deal, but Israel has a right to defend itself. Nonsense. Yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, I don't want to get stuck on this point for too long.
I wonder why. Could it be that every time Israel shares its plans militarily, you yell about it publicly, you run over to Barak Ravid, your stenographer over at Axios, and then promptly leak it to the public? It's like every 4 days, the Biden administration runs to Barak Ravid to explain what the Israelis are going to do, thereby attempting to thwart Israel's actual military operations. So you wonder why Israel kept it a secret? The only time Israel has had true success in the field is when they are not warning the Americans what they're going to do. The Beeper operation, they didn't warn the Americans. Killing Hassan Nasrallah didn't warn the Americans. Killing...
Okay. What about the current level of destruction that they're causing? Because the Americans don't seem to be doing anything about that. They seem to be getting on pretty well. I don't know. Remember that one time they bombed a refugee camp with over 1 million people in it? I remember that. That went pretty well for them. And I'm pretty sure that they warned people that they were going to do that. All those times that they warned specifically people in Gaza that they were going to bomb their houses. So everyone knew about that, but they couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't do anything. And America didn't give a shit, so nothing happened. So, I'm not entirely sure that this point is valid.
Mohammed Daif didn't warn the Americans. Killing Ismail Haniyeh did not warn the Americans. Why? Why? Well, because Joe Biden and team have decided that it is their job to play honest interlocutor between American allies and America's enemies. It's incredible. According to the Wall Street Journal, Israel has so far refused to divulge to the Biden administration details of its plans to retaliate against Tehran, even as the White House is urging its closest Middle East ally not to hit Iran's oil facilities or nuclear sites amid fears of a widening regional war. I mean, what are they afraid of? That Iran's going to start firing on Saudi Arabia or Bahrain or something? If that happens, then the Sunni-Israeli alliance will rise again, and that will be the end of the current Iranian regime. President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister...
What does he mean? What? This is a fairly large conflict. This could get a lot bigger. I mean, genuinely gigantic. It has the potential to get really, really, really bad. You know, it's not just a playground fight. You know, it's I'm not going to say war yet, because currently it's just Israel doing the bombing. So, you know, but they should be worried. This is definitely something to be worried about. And if I was currently in a position of power in America, which I never will be, I would cut off the supply of money and weapons to Israel, and that would pretty much solve the problem.
Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu spoke by phone for the first time Wednesday since August 21st. And, of course, they brought in Kamala Harris so they can pretend she has an actual job. Secretary of State Antony Blinken took some time off from playing saxophone in Kyiv to join the call as well. It lasted about 30 minutes. According to the Wall Street Journal, U.S. officials are frustrated. They've been repeatedly caught off guard by Israel's military actions in Gaza and Lebanon and are seeking to head off further escalation. Or, you know, they could just get out of the way and let Israel win. I know, it's so rough. It's such a rough...
That's the thing. They're not in the way. They're helping. They're helping them. It's like, you know, two kids fighting. Let's say there's a bully in school. Damn, that's loud. Thank you. Okay, so you got two kids. One of them's a bully, one of them's not a bully. He's the victim, right? The teacher is the US right now. The teacher walks over and hands a baseball bat to the bully. And then when the bully starts beating up the victim, the teacher's going, "No, don't do that. Stop. No. No, don't do that." And not taking the bat away, just saying, "No, don't do that. Don't do it." The US is definitely not in the way of Israel. They're directly aiding them.
Terrible idea, just to let your allies do what they need to do to achieve victory. But that is precisely the view of the Biden administration. Meanwhile, how successful has the Biden administration been? Well, remember that time when they let Afghanistan completely collapse and then unvetted, they let Afghan refugees come into the country? One of those Afghan refugees was an Afghan national who apparently was plotting an ISIS-inspired terror attack on Election Day to target large crowds. According to the FBI, he entered the United States September 9th, 2021, on a special immigrant visa. Days after the disastrous U.S.-Afghan withdrawal, he currently has parole status. The FBI has a photo allegedly from his iPhone, according to Bill Malugin. They say it depicts him describing to his daughter and another child the, quote, rewards a martyr receives in the afterlife. Amazing immigration policy. Amazing foreign policy. Wise and common winning. They're doing such an amazing job. I cannot even imagine. Again, the only times that America's allies right now are experiencing success is when they ignore everybody that the Biden administration sends for them.
That was amusing. It was pretty bad. it was pretty bad. I don't know. I don't get how Ben Shapiro can make a 8-minute, nearly 9-minute long video and make one point that's kind of half valid. Anyway, that was that.